everyone. Welcome to another episode of Inspire and Inquire. It's so good to be here.
And we are back after our little mid-season hiatus. This is episode 7.
Yes.
And as promised, this is our Q&A. And we're so grateful for all of you that sent in your questions.
So it's about to go down. We're going to answer all of them.
Let's do it.
Just want to take the opportunity to thank you again for staying with us on this journey. We see the views coming in. We see the comments, the likes. It's much appreciated. So keep it up.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So we're going to start with, we're not going to call any names on these questions.
No, it's completely anonymous. And as we go along, if you get more questions, or you have additional questions about topics we discuss, send them in. Continue to send them in.
All right. And some of these questions are going to be lighter than others, but we'll definitely tackle all that we received.
Definitely.
So the first question that came in was, what was your favorite book you read last year? I actually have two. But I'm going to go with Michelle Obama. She had a book called Becoming.
Oh, okay. I think I heard about it.
Yeah, she went through the whole journey with just meeting Barack and being in the White House and just how much you wouldn't even realize her life changed.
Right, of course. Complete overhaul.
Exactly, and what it really felt like being a first lady, and just even how she was initiated and meeting the first wife before her, and the whole process she went through. It was a very, very good read and very inspiring for me.
So funny you went with kind of a biopic, because mine was Trevor Noah's Born a Crime.
That was my second one.
And I love him. I think he's so funny, so intelligent with his humor. You know, we actually saw him live, was amazing. And Born a Crime it's his kind of biography of being a mixed person in South Africa during apartheid.
Yes. And,
you know, that was actually illegal. So for a black woman or a black person and a white person to come together and make a child, it was illegal. So it was really just, and again, even the way it reads, it's hilarious. Just his life, you know, and what kind of made him him.
And I'd add to that, I actually listened to that book on Audible. It wasn't even a read for me. It was a listen. And he did it in his own voice. So imagine him doing all the accents and reading the way. It was so great.
I mean, when it came out, he said that they were going to try and make a movie out of it. So I'm really hopeful. And apparently Lupita, is supposed to play his mom. So, you know,
that should be good.
Yeah, I'm excited if that happens. So.
All right. Second question we got was, what is your skin regimen? And what is your favorite skin product? So for me, I'd like to say that I use various products, but it's more about the process. And I always start off by doing some kind of facial scrub. Like if you're using a regular soap, just as long as you get that scrub in.
So like a little exfoliation.
If you had an exfoliation in the scrub, or if you actually had sponges that exfoliate, just kind of scrubbing off everything.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I'm washing off my face, I don't know how important this is, but I do that hot cold thing.
Oh, that's with the pores.
I start hot, get the pores open, and then I close
them
cold,
up with the cold.
Right?
Yeah.
Then any product at all, then I'll use like a astringent or some kind of what's the other word for astringent? Toner. There we go. Some kind of astringent or toner. Right now I'm using one from Rodman Fields, if you're interested. And then I finally finish off with some kind of moisturizer that has SPF. Very important to protect the skin. And then I'll do the same thing in the night, but I'll use a night cream instead of the SPF cream.
Gotcha.
So just make sure you exfoliate, you tone, and then you moisturize. I think any products that you do that process with will be beneficial.
So for me, and hopefully this helps someone, I have very sensitive skin. I'll even share, actually I have eczema, so I have to be very careful about the products that I use. My process, pretty similar in that I do definitely exfoliate, that's crucial. And I do moisturize, also crucial. That's kind of the balance. I don't do the hot cold, but I stick to mainly Cetaphill products. So
yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, so the face wash, the moisturizer, the sunblock with the SPF, so all the things that you're doing, but the Cetaphill brand, because it works for my skin. So if anyone has sensitive skin, it works, you know, and just over time, it's really, really made a difference for me.
Yeah, agreed. And I haven't broken out since I've been doing this routine.
Yeah.
You know, before I would have breakouts closer to that time of the month. But if I stick with the routine, I notice that I don't have any breakouts whatsoever. And that's kind of really what I'm aiming at. I think if you're aiming at different things like maybe trying to get rid of wrinkles or dark
There's
spots.
some other
There's some other
places,
products
yeah.
and things that you can definitely use. I would also recommend using a mask or something,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
once a week or
Yeah,
monthly or
just
bi-weekly.
to kind of like a detoxify.
Yeah.
And something else that does work if you have the time, like I went through a time trying to find more natural or even make. I was fully like, witch in the kitchen with my different oils and just, research like what they're for. So, things like your sesame oil is good for, I think like anti-itch, rose hip is like,
I
it's
love
amazing
rose hip.
and that's good for like your anti-wrinkle and keeping your skin,
That's a good
what
point.
is the word?
No, tight and firm.
Yeah. So that's always a good way. It takes longer, obviously, but when you find your blend, that's always a nice, because you know what you're putting.
That's a good point. Also stocked in my bathroom is that argan oil, is a tea tree oil, is a rose hip oil. I don't have any sesame oil, but definitely have your oils. Olive oil, have all those oils ready as
and
well.
You can make a little concoction and, it works great for you.
Sounds good. All right. Our third question that's pretty light as well. It has to do with our hair. Really love your hair. What do you do with it?
Well, I got locks, so
it still takes some maintenance.
I do it. I do it myself. I live in the States. It's a little too expensive for me to go, so I use a clarifying shampoo. If you have locks, that helps with the build-up, guys. And then I use a clarifying conditioner. I also use a root stimulator, and then I oil and twist. I don't use, and with gel, use that the one you told me about.
The eco
green
style,
green gel,
the green one, yeah.
And then daily I try and oil and just some kind of leave-in conditioner to keep to avoid any kind of dryness.
Yeah. And that's kind of what most of our hair types suffer from is dryness, and really saturating it with water and conditioner definitely helps keep it not just looking great but in a natural form.
Funny enough, my same little oil concoctions, I use those on
hair, skin.
When post-pregnancy with the hair thinning that happens, that was actually what I used to help kind of bring back the life to it. So natural oils, guys.
Sounds good. For me, I use this product called As I Am. I like the product because it's specific for all my hair type. There's like a coconut co-wash. There's the conditioner. There's a twisting define cream, so it just depends on the style that I'm using. But pretty much my routine is to wash it and co-wash more regularly than actually washing, because when you wash your hair, it can strip you from your oils. And then also I do that technique where you put in the conditioner first and then the oil after. So I'll use like argan oil or olive oil to lock in the moisture. And then I'll do the style. If I'm twisting, I'll use a twisting cream. If I'm setting, I'll use a foaming lotion. It just depends on how I'm styling it after that. But yeah, just pretty much keeping it clean and moisturized.
And last thing about that, so as far as like the root stimulator that I use and just like a daily like hair moisturizer, I use Nikkis Naturals. Actually, my cousin's, I think I told you about it, but hers, Nikkis Naturals. She's on Instagram. You can order online. They're really good. Again, organic. There's not a lot of too much of anything in there, and it's designed for women
natural hair,
natural hair, natural hair,
coiled hair, 4C, 3C, 2C. We got you. All right, sounds good.
So the next question that we have is, how important is the type of employment, and that's like if you're dating, how important is the other person's employment, as in what they do, and does that equate to some kind of status?
I mean, typically, if you think about it, we do judge heavily on what type of job somebody has, and kind of we fill in the blanks. Okay, if they are a construction worker, they might be making couple dollars here and there, but maybe they don't have a college education. And we start to add all these layers.
Of these things based on that.
So I can see someone's job kind of giving a quick snapshot of somebody thinking what they are. But I don't think from a relationship viewpoint that we should be using those judgments to determine whether we should date somebody or not.
But does it really though? Because again, you see construction worker and you see, I don't know, lawyer, right? And you go, okay, lawyer, he went to school or she went to school and she's a professional. But You could be a corrupt, deadbeat lawyer.
Exactly.
And a really great construction worker who gets a lot of projects and has a stable income and doing well at it. So even though we do use it, recognize that the title doesn't tell the story.
And the status doesn't tell the spirit.
That's so true. So
right?
true. So we can't help I don't think we can help. You know, we've all kind of had it ingrained in us, these ideas. So I would say, get to know the person. Find out the story behind the title before
find out the why and not necessarily the what.
And I don't know which way swiping these days, but you know the
the Tinder swipe.
Whichever way, which one is wrong. But anyway, don't swipe that way just because
their employment status isn't something that you feel might be fitting.
I wish I knew which way.
I've never been on Tinder, by the way.
Oh,
by the time Tinder came out, I think I was already married.
Yeah, it was a little too late.
Didn't get to do that. But that's a great question. Like it. Keep the questions coming in.
All right. Next? How about this one? Can educated women be sexual beings?
You know what's interesting to me about that question is that I have gone through various stages of my education and becoming educated.
Mm-hmm.
Started with the high school diploma, my associates, bachelor's, master's, and at no point did any of that have anything to do with my sexual preferences or
sexuality
at all. So to me, I'm not sure what the perception is of educated women and their sexuality.
So that's the kind of alarm that's kind of going off to me, is that do men see educated women as non-sexual beings? And if so, I'm kind of like, but why? Right. You know, what does one really have to do? Maybe it has to come from the point of being threatening and vulnerability. You know, a lot of men like the idea of having a woman that is not as powerful or not as, you know, on the level that they are, which kind of helps with their sexual dynamic in the bedroom. So you have someone who might be on your level or above. How does that work in the bedroom? And are we seeing that education as like dominance? And then so now, because education equals more money, and more money equals power in the house. Power in the house means power everywhere. But then, so that's the question. I wonder if that's a topic too, where you know, how do we really define sexuality, and that does it really tie into all of those things? To me, or is it something that operates independently? Yeah, you know, agreed. It's definitely something we could talk further on. So look out, we might do a topic. We might have to go. That's a good question. Whoever sent that in, thank you very much. All right, what else? The next question. The next one is okay. So being raised by single educated black women who are empowering, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being raised by these kind of women? This is a good question. Can you read the description of the single black? Being both raised by single educated black women who are empowering women. Okay, so this person is definitely defining a lot of what you would say are minorities in the world. You have someone who's black, someone who's a woman, someone who's single, but then educated and empowering amidst those. First of all, thanks for the compliments. I think the same of my mom. Yes, definitely. She is definitely a powerhouse. Yeah. Lots of advantages, and I could discuss some disadvantages as well. Some of them, to me, as I think about it, it's like they're both advantages and disadvantages. Okay. So the first one that came to me was, you know, I think having that kind of woman. So you're a single black woman, but you're still highly educated, you're still empowering, you're still really working as a master of your domain. It never created any kind of box, if you will, of what it meant for me, in that there was no limit to what I could do. You mean being a female being black? So being a black female, there was no like, you need to go in this way or that way. It didn't feel like there were any hindrances, or there was no ceiling, if to me, you know, not necessarily knowing what it really took for her, right? To her experience, but just for you, it's like, this is achievable, right? So it's a lot. It empowered me to strive to whatever I wanted. But on the other side of that, I kind of said it where I didn't really know what that took, you know, as in like, it wasn't an easy thing. So when you do start, you know, on your journey, you're like, damn, it's freaking hard, you know. But they did it, so you can do it. So.
And that kind of ties into how I feel about it as well, is because the bar was set so high. So high that I almost felt innately that I had to do really well in life. I didn't feel comfortable with being at a certain level. Like I needed to achieve and exceed and succeed and surpass. And I didn't realize at the time. So that's still positive, right? I'm motivated internally. And I have a great example of what that looks like. And that's all great. But then on the flip side, I didn't realize the sacrifices that it took from her, right, to achieve the status and the success that she has. And as I'm going through the journey and experiencing those choices and sacrifices that I have to make or not make, it started to even make me realize how much more I should appreciate this woman who has sacrificed so much to be where she is today.
The other thing was even just my role as a woman. So being that
big one,
she was the person, she was the parent,
the man, the woman.
It didn't mean anything. It wasn't that she was the man or she was just the parent.
Right.
So there was no defining of that.
Right.
So on the one hand, again, it never made me think that as a woman, I'm supposed to be, or I'm supposed to do, or I'm supposed to...
Right, or you're to take out the trash because you're a man, and you're supposed to wash the dishes because you're a woman.
Yeah, that
Mom's doing both.
It just needs to be done.
It just needs to be done.
These are things that have to be done, and the adult does it type of thing, right?
Right.
And then as you grow up, you do too. But on the flip side of that too, is that I didn't really see what that two-parent unit looks like. I didn't have a model, good or bad, for the relationship dynamic. So when I did get into my relationship, it was like, all right, let's do this. Walking in the dark, you know, trying to find some light with no kind of reference. Yeah, no context. Yeah.
I like that too, because for me it was similar because we're coming from similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I appreciated the fact that I could define my relationship and the roles in our relationship because I didn't have the context and the background that went with a specific type of man-woman role. But for me, the downfall is that I didn't really get to see my mother being loved.
Yeah.
I didn't really see someone, you know, I didn't know what it meant or what it looked like to be loved by a partner. And that to me was huge, because when I started to be in my relationship and I was being loved, it was the context. Is this what it looks like? Is it not? You know, so it was really hard for me to find how to love. Yeah. Because if you haven't seen it, then maybe you don't even know how to do it.
Yeah. You don't know when you get in it or what to do with it.
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Something you said that struck me when you were saying that you had the freedom to kind of define the roles. And, you know, truthfully, like, as we say it, it sounds great. Yeah. And even if the partner you find is right there with you, like, let's define it. Unfortunately, I feel like society was already like, nope, this is it. And so there's still always this struggle to really navigate what you truly believe versus what you're quote unquote supposed to.
Yes, agreed. And where I go with that is always God. When society comes in with their, you know, premises and I come in with my premises, I always go back to the Bible. And what the Bible says is, I'll definitely find the verses before we end today, or I'll put it in the post. But what the Bible says about relationships is that the man is supposed to love his wife like Christ loved the church. So look at that love. Like Christ died for the church. Yeah. So that already kind of showed me, okay, this man is supposed to not worship me, but love me to do anything for me. And then on the flip side, it says that the woman is supposed to kind of submit, in a sense, to her husband, like Christianity submits to the Lord, to God. And when you think about that dynamic where the Lord Jesus is loving someone so intensely
that they would die for them,
then you have the other side submitting to that love,
to that kind of love,
because
that's very different than you just kind of going,
whatever,
this is what I need
man
to
of the household, right? You're submitting to that kind of love. And when I found that out, it really helped me to define what you're saying about
what should these roles what does it really look like?
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. I feel like that's something too that I feel like we could touch more on that.
Yeah,
you know?
let's do a topic.
When you said that the verse, I know I've heard people be like, oh, the woman's supposed to submit, and I'm like, am I though? But those are the conditions I'm submitting to. It's very different.
Yes,
very, very different. I'm just saying submit to
that
whatever I dish type of thing.
Agreed.
We could.
Let us talk about that further for sure.
Yes.
We got 2 more topics. Thank you for your questions.
All right. Okay. In this day and age, how do you manage being intelligent, educated, free-spirited women who at times are faced with a society that wants to box you in socially, economically, and sexually?
Again, thank you so much. Can you
really
read
questions.
not just the questions, but the compliments? What are we? We are
intelligent,
educated, free-spirited. All right. I appreciate all of those attributes that you've bestowed upon me. I definitely resonate with all of them.
For sure.
So thank you for that. And again, good question. So you're saying that because we're educated, we're free-spirited,
and
intelligent, we might have difficulty navigating society because they like to box us in
socially, economically, and sexually.
Again, that sexual question, which
I feel like it's a topic, man.
Another topic. But you know what I would say to that is the fact that I am free-spirited, it kind of already means that I don't subscribe to society's boxes, right? So anywhere they want to box me in, it doesn't necessarily relate to how I approach anything in life. And that's really what that free-spiritedness means. I use the Bible and God and his words to define what I think I should become as a person. It has nothing to do with society. And yes, it is difficult to navigate because you live in a society, we live in the flesh. But whenever, there is an instance where it's not making sense or I'm getting some kind of backlash or anything, I just go right back to my scripture and I can find my sense and I can find my balance and I can push forward knowing that I'm doing things in a spiritual sense for God.
I think for me, just in terms of my experience, I don't know if any of you have listened to our first episode where we talk a lot about, colorism in Jamaica. So for me, from an early age, I started to see before kind of being put in the box or recognizing I'm in a box, I saw them. I'm like, what is this? And so as I've gone through life, my journey and grown, I've always been very aware of them. So I don't think I ever got to a point where I was like, what is this? How do I get out of this? Because I was never operating in them. I was always aware, like, if I go there, that's a box for waiting for me. So what's my option? How do I navigate this differently? Or, so it's not about it being easy, but I think that awareness of it made me come from a different place. So I was never kind of reacting to it or angry, or it was never some huge struggle internally or even externally, because this is what it is. I recognizing that.
No, I like the fact that you brought up the fact that you were aware, because that's really the game changer.
That's true,
right?
Yeah,
is being aware of these boxes that were created by society.
Yeah, that's
and
so true.
Then making that choice if you're going to subscribe or not.
Yeah, and funny enough, I think the characteristics that were used to describe us are the tools that we use for that awareness. Yes. It is that free-spiritedness, like you said.
Yes.
It is that, because and being educated is learning something. Intelligence is how you process and navigate it. So I think those two, or all three combined, are what gave me the tools to be like, no, pass,
Yeah.
So for anyone, it takes some time to, I'm always about look inward, do your research, read something, watch something, and then kind of reframe how you maybe look at it.
Agreed.
And then you can make different choices.
Agreed. Another thing that's coming to me is that I always felt like society's boxes, so to speak, kind of sparked my curiosity. Because I'm so far from them, it's almost interesting to me.
Like, what is this?
Like, what is this? What about being black or a woman or intelligent or any of those things determines, my ability to be sexual or succeed or any of those things. To me, that
make it in society.
I'm so far removed that I'm almost curious enough to go in just to
See what happens.
to understand. To understand.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping, again, that what I learned from the experiences of society, that I can help others to possibly look at it differently, think about it differently. Me being out here as a Miss Free Spirit doesn't help a soul.
That's true.
You know? But if I'm going to try and use what I know on this end with people who are on that end, I kind of have to come closer.
To come closer
to the topic.
Say, you know what? It's actually not a closed box.
Yes.
Here's a little way out if you so desire.
If you so desire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Sounds good. Any more topics?
We've got one more.
All right.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Men and women obviously are not treated equally. If a man has slept with 20 women, he is considered a stud or gallus.
A stud.
You stud.
Gallus.
A woman who has slept with the same amount or even half
True.
might be scorned.
Yes.
What's your take on this?
This is a deep one.
That's heavy, man.
It's heavy.
So much in that one question.
Another topic, right?
Wow.
Whoever sent these questions in, thank you so much. We definitely have a lot to ruminate on.
Yes, yes.
But off the top of my head, again, I would say that society has its premise, right? Society has its standards. The world, the flesh, is defined by man and white men in particular, most of where we live now, right?
Yeah.
Not just
on the western side.
On the western
hemisphere,
side, you have white men kind of creating these boxes and creating these types of labels for people. So I can understand how women wouldn't fit into that premise. But again, I always look at God. I always look at the church. I always look at the Bible and what it says. And God says, come as you are. So scorning is not even, it's not even a part of the makeup of who you are. We all have things to be scorned. We all have things to be judged, if you will. But God says, come as you are. So it matters not if you had 20 or 10 or 5 or 3. If you're seeking, you shall find. And that's kind of where I'm at, where that's concerned.
For me, you know, when I read this particular question, initially, kind of your initial thoughts came to me in that, you know, it's skewed in the favor of the male sex, you know, and I'm not one of those women who's all angry about it. It's
a reality.
It is a reality, you know, if it was defined by women, if it was skewed in our favor, if we had done the writing of the original books or whatever,
her story versus his
you know,
story.
Would it be the man being scorned? Would a man be sending in this question like, why am I being scorned for
Right.
what? You know what I mean?
Right.
So because that is the framework that we're operating from, and it does need to change, and there's a lot of discussion about it. It's, I would say, for a woman in that position, recognize this is what you're operating in. This is the box. We'll go back to the previous question. This is the box that you're operating in, that, you know, simply because you are a woman, you could do less or the same as a man and somehow be seen differently. And it's nothing that you have done to create that.
Right.
You know, this is a shitty rock that you have stepped on, and there's nothing, you know, like, we are doing the things now, the discussions that we're having, the research that's being done, you know, looking back to the scriptures, looking at other research, all of what we're doing now is to try and start reframing that, but we just started.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you think about just history, there was a time the earth was flat. There's some people who still believe so, but there was a time we were guaranteed 100% the earth was flat. There was a time Pluto was a planet. It's not anymore. So there was a
These
time.
are times where 20 man sleep, you know, with you're a whore, you know?
Or grandchildren or great-grandchildren,
Right.
and like, what was wrong with society? Like, look at how we used to think of women. And that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
All of what's happening, even though it seems very chaotic and heavy, it's for the next 50 years.
Agreed.
when humankind is no longer called mankind, it's just humankind. And we say, wow, you know, society went through this change.
What's interesting to me about the way we both tackle this question is that, you know, women right now definitely need a voice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as you said, we're working through getting this voice out for women. But I am afraid of it just skewing in the complete opposite direction. That now women have a voice, so now men are the ones calling in saying, hey, me too, right?
That's
so,
true.
Right?
Because there is this thing about masculinity being under attack.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I'm going from this spiritual place.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm going to a higher place of, you know what? It's not really about your
Man versus
gender,
woman.
right?
Yeah.
It's humanity.
That's why I said humankind.
Humanity, and none of it's right in my eyes in this context right
Yeah.
now. For anybody to just walk around and sleep with 50 people, whether you're a gallus or a whore. Like, is that wise for your life choices on your spiritual journey? Is any of that wise, man or woman, whether society thinks it's good or
not,
bad?
yeah.
What is wise for your spirit? And that's kind of where I would love the conversation to lead to for people as a humanity. When we're talking about equality and equal rights, is a humane, just thinking of all of us as one and what works for that, and not trying to tip the scale on the other end.
Well, I mean, I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying as the ultimate goal, but I think
we're far from it.
Yeah,
you have
that's
to
really
start,
all I'm saying is that
Agreed.
we're just starting.
Agreed.
And it does have to wobble a bit.
Agreed.
I don't think it's about no, it's woman. No, I
Yes.
think it's gonna be a wobble.
Yes.
It's gonna be tricky. But I think because of that wobble, because of what's happening now, what you're hoping for
Yeah.
can actually be achieved. Because as it was, it would never.
Agreed.
You know, if we weren't having this discussion, it would never. That would be a pipe dream. You know?
Agreed.
So
Agreed. Well, that kind of wraps us up,
Yes.
you know, for today. Thanks again for all your questions and your feedback. And, you know, we appreciate you on this journey, as I keep saying it, because I just know you can do so much with your time, and time is so valuable. So thank you for spending time with us
Absolutely.
today.
We really appreciate it. And
Yep.
thank you so much for your great questions.
Yep.
And we will be back next week.
Yeah, we're back on season 1, part 2. So another 6 episodes coming your way.